All right, guys, so we're back. This is the episode of The Conference. I got a very special guest here today. This is Mr. Castillo. Everyone give a round of applause. Yeah, man, so...
we already started.
No, we're starting already, yeah.
I'm sorry. Guys.
No, you're good.
Okay. Hello.
Man, thank you very much for coming, man. I appreciate your time, dude, and you taking the time to come.
Hey, no, I was excited. I was nice to run into you, and when you told me that, I said, absolutely, I definitely got to be here. So
yeah,
definitely looking forward to this.
Man, it was a very cool and I just believe genuine conversation that we had that day. I ran into you, man, and one of the things I kind of wanted to talk to you about was I guess like how much. Well, before I start with all that, I guess. Man, so I met you in 8th grade.
Yeah.
You know, I met you in 8th grade, and I believe, so you weren't a teacher, but you were like a teacher aide, maybe?
Right, yeah. I was actually, support staff, teacher aide, whatever you want to call it. There was a program that I've been working with still, actually, at the high school now.
Okay.
But I've been working with the same program for almost 17 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a program that helps just specific kids with different challenges that they may have. And so what I loved about this position is that it not just allows me to check on the guys that I have in the program, but it really offers me that freedom to kind of be everywhere, to where I can touch base with each and every kid that I come across. And whether they're in the program or not, it's not really the thing that I focused on when I ran into any other student. It was more like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
How are things going? You need help with anything? And just kind of, started with that, and it just kind of blossomed from there, you know. And I would go in, I would take my lunch and go in the cafeteria and hang out in there and visit and socialize and keeping an eye on my guys, but also, everyone was, at that point, everybody was my guys, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I just had love for everybody. So
you can move the mic closer to you if you'd like.
Sure. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, cool. But yeah, so that was kind of basically how that all started,
What was it that you had like a passion maybe from a young age on being able to help younger people?
You know what? I think that so before I got to the junior high and high school, I had done. I guess a little backstory here. So I did not get to finish college.
Okay.
So with that being said, because I had other personal things going on, and I said, okay, I had to make it, but I still had to work, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, well, maybe I can go the route of building my resume. If I build my resume, I can use that and see if I can at least get in. Maybe a school district would be great,
With enough experience.
So that was like a goal there that I had.
Okay.
And so along the way, before I got to the school, and I had applied at like daycares and schools and all kinds of stuff, and I was young when I started doing that, and I didn't get any responses from a lot of people at first, but I kept going and going, and eventually people started calling me,
Oh, wow.
Okay. And so I worked at a private school. I worked at a public at a public pre-K.
Okay.
I worked in childcare. I worked at the Children's Museum of Houston. That was a great gig. I loved it because I love the arts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so making stuff and theater and all that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So that was a great gig. I love that. And then my daughter was born. And so, kind of had to move closer to home at that point and try to find work around there.
Where were you working at the time?
And so that time I was at the Children's Museum, went back, and there was a charter school called Raul y Ceguera, and that was over there in off of Broadway, kind of near Milby.
Okay.
Milby High School, near that area, and did that for a little while, and then I started applying with the districts and stuff again.
Okay.
And so we actually moved to LaPorte at the time, and so when that happened. I was applying all the time, and like every 2 months, I would put in a resume into different school districts around the area, and the people in the HR would be like, "Didn't you just get here? Did you just come here a couple months ago?" "Oh yeah, well here's an updated," just kind of like, "Oh, I just thought I'd come by and see if anybody was hiring, blah blah blah." And they would be like, okay. And so after a while, they said, oh, okay, come on in. And so I would just drop off my stuff and y'all hired, anybody? And then one day, Laporte calls me in. We have a position in the special education department. I was like, okay, great. So I go in for the interview, and when I get there, they said, we just hired somebody from in-house. And I was like, oh, okay, no worries, no problem. And as I'm leaving, there was a principal at the time, Mike Thomas, and when I first started, and he's the one that hired me. And I remember going in he calls me on the phone and says, hey, we just heard they weren't able to hire you at the high school, but we have a serious need at the junior high, for some support staff. Mm-hmm. We'd love to interview you. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. So I went in and had the interview and stuff, and he was looking at my crazy resume because I had like restaurants and childcare and all this, child protective services, museum, all the schools I was telling you about, all this craziness. I had like a 2-page resume, just full of jobs. And that wasn't even the reference letter or the, all that stuff either.
Yeah.
So he looked at it, and after the interview, he kind of laughed and he said, man, you're all over I said, no offense. He said, but you're all over the place,
Yeah.
because you're like, this guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I said, and he said, but I have to tell you, and the other other teachers were there in the interview as well. And he goes, but we kind of need all over the place right now, And I was like, okay. I said, I'm your guy. I can be all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm always all over the place. So that's how I got hired on.
Wow, dude.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I've kind of been with the district ever since. And so
I will tell you that, man, dude, even before I ran into you that day at the high school, like a year or so ago when I did, and how we got in contact and how I got your phone number and everything, I will tell you that you made enough of an impact in my life for me to be able to, I guess, refer back to you in a couple moments in my life. And I just thought about it, man. I was always like, man, how is he so, as I'm getting older and dealing with all these different emotions of life and just, I guess, just really about finding out who I am and whatnot. I just, you can feel the weight of everything and you get very stressed out and very, I guess, anxious about a lot of different things. And I just thought about it, man. There was, certain things would start to affect my mental health and whatnot. And I just was like, man, I'd look back at certain teachers and be like, man, how did they seem like they were always just in a good mood all the time? And it seemed like they were very just positive. And you would always come to my head, man. And just like, man, he seemed always like very upbeat, a very like happy person. And now that I'm older, I'm like, it's not very realistic to be like that every day, I feel, because you have your good days and your bad days.
Right. Of course.
And I think that it was just something that stuck out to me, like you were one of the many other teachers that I thought of. So whenever I did run into you, it was very good to see you, man. And then your niece, I believe, Corey.
Yes.
I spoke with her. I've known her since 8th grade as well. And, we had a podcast with her like a couple years back or a year or so ago. And, I asked her how you were doing and whatnot, because I remember that you were going through some health things and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that was really why I brought you here today, man. Just the perspective that you've been able to gain from going through those experiences in your life and whatnot, man. Like, I feel that human beings we take things for granted, and it's just by nature. You get accustomed to seeing someone every day. You get accustomed to what your body is functioning from, I guess, like the time you're a kid all the way up until maybe you have your first like genuine health scare where like maybe someone may have a heart attack or whatever the case may be.
Right.
I just guess a lot of people feel like they're immortal until they find out that they're not,
Yeah. I got you.
So I guess one of the things, man, like how I wanted to talk about it, dude, was I remember in 8th grade at one point, I don't know if it was 8th grade that you finished with us, but like, did you have your first, like, I guess, situation happen in 8th grade in 2011?
So here's the, all right, so I'd had different health issues growing up, but when I was at the junior high, there was a period of time. That's when I first had my big ordeal, the biggest ordeal where going forward.
This is 2011.
And so, no, yeah, this was like 20, like this was, so like in 2009, I actually started to lose, I started having kidney problems.
Okay.
And then in 2010, 2011, it became traumatic. I lost both kidneys and ended up on dialysis.
Oh, wow.
And so during that time, I was still working, crazy, still, you know me, so still working, but receiving dialysis treatment at night. So I was on the machine for 8 hours a night.
Crap, dude.
And then I would wake up and go through my little nausea routine and all the sick stuff, and then I'd say, okay, I'm good, let's go, and I go to work.
Yeah.
And then I'd come home and do the same routine again.
Wow, dude.
And so I did that for a little while. And I was on a donor list, so I was waiting for a kidney
Transplant.
Yeah, so it was like, okay. So I was like, all right. So I did that as long as I could, and then I was even doing what they call a manual dialysis. So it was getting bad. And the doctor was like, hey, you need to really think about slowing down and not working, because you're getting you're starting to get very sick. Mm-hmm. And he said, and even with the dialysis, we're having to add more dialysis time for you. And it was tough because I also had juvenile diabetes. And so, with dialysis, you're talking, cleaning the blood because it's toxic. Your kidneys aren't working, so they can't, replenish and cleanse and all that stuff like the body needs.
The body, toxins, yeah.
Right. So it was going through all that. There was a lot of nausea, a lot of vomiting, just a lot of sick stuff. And then, of course, with the diabetes, what that would do, because I was insulin dependent, I would drop. So I would have like low blood sugars like all the time. So I had like paramedics at the house like 3 to 4 times a week, and just trying to like revive me and stuff, from low blood sugars.
Yeah.
Or just passing out, stuff like that. Which is just kind of how it went, But my mentality was always like, okay, this is my situation, right? I'm not done yet, and I'd pray about it, of course, I'm like, hey God, you know how I am, and but I'm on your watch, and this is, what you need me to do, whatever you need me to do, I'm if this is me getting ready or getting you preparing me to, say my goodbyes and all that, and this is my time, let me know that, in some kind of way, so that I can prepare myself and my family, my daughter.
Yeah.
And, but if not, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get through, whatever the challenge is. And it's tough because there's fear, you have sadness, and then you're not feeling yourself and you're sick. And what always stayed with me was the fear and the doubt and the concerns. After a while, they can kind of mess with your head a little bit. They can consume you. And so,
absolutely, man.
And when especially when you're going through stuff, when you lose people, when you've had a bad accident or illness or something, everybody has a different story in life, and sometimes it's very difficult to get past those things, or it's very difficult to find a solution or the answers, and sometimes we don't even get the answers.
Some people never do,
and it's very heartbreaking,
It
but
is.
I don't know. It's just since I've been very young as a kid, my spirit, I guess, or I don't know if it's just my personality or my spirit, but I was one of those that I was always trying to find the beauty or the good in something. Like I was always fascinated by little things,
Yeah.
So like I could see somebody with some cool shoes, and I'd be like, "Oh, hey, I like your shoes," or like a leaf that was weird shaped, or like
It's just like
or like an ice cream, that drops and it splatters in a certain way, or just anything crazy, just something silly.
Yeah.
Or that's a cool color, or the sunset or the sunrise, just anything that was just. That had nothing to do with anything.
Dude, I feel you on that so much, man. I feel that I'm also fascinated on like little certain things like that. And I've asked, I'm like, man, isn't that crazy? And there'd be some people who just, I don't know, I guess just maybe aren't happy in their lives, and they're like, no, that's not crazy at all. Like, that's the way it's supposed to go. I'm like, what do you mean? How is that? You know what I mean? Like it's just a small thing, but it's fascinating, like you said.
I mean, you could. I mean, I could probably go on. You know I can talk. So I could probably go on for hours just talking about any random thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, but that's what I'm saying. I guess to me, I find joy in that.
Absolutely.
I find creativity. I'm
Yeah.
fascinated. I like to learn. I like to like figure it out and see. And if other people got talents or they're doing stuff, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome.
It's
Or,
so
oh,
cool.
I love that. And, yeah.
I love encouraging others, man.
And so it's the best. And it's just so cool because everybody has gifts and talents and things to offer
Exactly.
in this world. And I just see so much potential out there in people. And I'm always like, man, let me push that. Let me lift that. It's like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
This is good. You got this. Man, you got stuff to offer. And so that right there, that's one of the things I love about life. That's the beauty of it. I mean, I know we all have a time, right? And not to get all deep into that, but I feel like we all have purpose. I feel like we all have a calling. And I feel like, God's got it all planned out or situated to where, whatever that may be. I know everybody has different beliefs and all, and that's awesome. Whatever your center is, whatever your passion or your heart tells you, you live with that. And I don't judge people at all. I'm just like, hey, I love you for who you are.
Exactly.
And that's period. That's it. I love you. That's how it is.
Yeah.
And for me, but I've always felt like, man, if I trust God, right? Mm-hmm. And I give it to him and I know he's got it. It may not always be what you want or how you want it, but it's going to be what you need.
Yeah.
And it's going to get you through. And I've seen that. And I've seen that time after time, especially in my situation. And people have often asked me, the big question is, how the hell, why you always smile? As sick as you are, why are you always smiling? Or
how are you doing?
You don't. I went through a divorce. I financially was having a rough time because of all my medications and stuff like that.
Yeah, on the trips to the hospital, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just a lot that goes with that. A lot of weight to carry, and then just being sick on top of that.
Yeah.
And then it was just crazy, man. It's funny because all that stuff, and I could have easily at any point complained or. Of course, I had my emotions and I was sad and I had tears and all that too at times. But I didn't hang on to that very long. It was kind of like I had a day, like, okay, I'm working through it. Just need a minute. Then I'm like, okay, all right, I'm done. Let's go. Let's get back. Let's get back to life.
Was it by any chance maybe the reason why you didn't dwell or indulge in those emotions and thoughts for so long? Do you think by any chance it was because you didn't know how long you had? And was it like, man, I don't want to sit here and be like all upset and depressed before I go. I don't want anyone necessarily to remember me like that. Yeah. Was that it?
Yes, absolutely. That's a big part of it. Yeah, that was a big part. That was a big piece because there was that. I didn't want to waste time on that. Mm-hmm. But also, what good was that going to do?
Exactly.
That's not going to change anything.
In any situation.
You're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in that sorrow. You're going to be stuck in that self-pity. And it's okay to be there. Just don't stay there.
Yeah.
Just don't stay there. You got to get out and you got to move forward because there's so much life to live. And here's the thing. It's a choice. You have to choose that for yourself. You got to believe in that. You got to just go for it and trust that, you know what? God gave me the tools a long time ago to handle anything. And I truly believe that. And even at your worst moment, he gives you strength. He gives you hope. He gives you faith. He gives you belief. He gives you courage. He gives you, any tool that you need to get through. You gotta harness that stuff. You gotta embrace that. You gotta claim it.
Yeah.
Claim it and make it yours and say, you know what, I do believe, man. You know what, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get through this because I know. I feel that. And even if it's not perfect, whatever I'm given, whatever gift that I'm given, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna make the best of it. With that. And that's what I chose to do a long time ago. And with anything that happens along the way, I know I'm in a good place right now. It's been a lot that's happened. Since then, I've been, in and out of the hospital, had some real severe setbacks. Like I was telling you, I had a pseudoaneurysm. I lost the first kidney, ended up having, and then I ended up losing, I had a kidney pancreas transplant.
Oh, okay.
So I lost a kidney and a pancreas.
Golly, dude.
And then I got another kidney. And in the midst of all that, a year later in 2021, I got what they call pseudoaneurysm, and it was on my iliac artery. Mm-hmm. So it's a major artery, but it burst, and I bled out, and they couldn't find the bleed.
Was this where you told me about where you were at school when this happened?
No, this one, no.
That was a different time.
Yeah, this was a different time.
Oh my God,
this was
dude.
This was 3 years ago.
Okay.
3.5 years ago. Yeah. Basically, I was at home one night, woke up, went to the restroom, and I had, I was peeing blood, I was vomiting blood, it was not to get too graphic, but his blood was coming out everywhere, and so
it was coming out everywhere.
It was a rough time. It was a rough,
Damn, dude.
Not my favorite. Not my favorite. Moment.
Yeah.
And I felt myself just, at that point I couldn't even stand up. And I was kind of like, okay. So paramedics came in. They said, try to stay awake, man. You cannot fall asleep. We don't need you to fall asleep, So I was, of course, so I'm like, okay, are you in any pain? And I'm like, no, I just can't. I'm bleeding a lot, And so we're riding in the ambulance, and I felt myself slipping, like just not able to stay awake. And I don't know what was going to happen next. So what I told them was, I said, I was cracking jokes and stuff, of course, on the way there, just not trying to make light. And
that's interesting. I think that says a lot about you.
I feel bad because I saw how worried they were.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's gonna be okay. Just good. No worries, man.
Yeah.
But I told them, I said, hey, please tell them. I know my family are on their way up. My mom, my dad, my sisters, my daughter. I said, just please let them know that I love them very much, and that remember everything I've ever told them about stuff, and but it's gonna be okay. Just let them know that, Like, okay, well, you're gonna tell them because you're not falling asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I got you, like that. And then I said, the guy asked me something, and that's the last thing I remember. And then I knocked out, and then at that point, we got to the hospital, and it was my sisters and my daughter were telling me. They said, yeah, you coded 3 times. So basically, heart stopped, body shut down 3 different times. So I was pronounced dead 3 different times. And then they said, no, let's go again.
In the same night?
Yeah, within those, when I arrived. And so the concern was the 3rd time that I coded, they said, okay, this is the 3rd time. And they brought me back, but they had me on like life support, right?
Yeah.
So they told my family, they said, we can't stop the bleeding. We don't know where the bleed is coming from. He's coded 3 times. We don't know where his brain is right now as far as activity and how that's been affected. Oxygen, disrupted like that can cause some serious problems, paralysis, brain damage, oxygen, capabilities. Not to mention, his kidney that he just had transplanted, which I received from my sister, who was so beautiful to do that and kind. That already shut down too. So all the organs were shutting down. It was just a big trauma situation. And they said to my family, they said, the only thing we can do is just open them up and try to see if we can find it that way. And my sister and my daughter were like, please, just anything, just try. Because they were like, if you just give him an opportunity, he'll make it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I was like, oh, all right.
Was it
I like that. That's cool.
Was it crazy when they told you that? That like, how did you feel when you heard that?
When my daughter and my sister said that's what they told the doctors, I was like, wow. I didn't know what to say. I mean, of course, tears down my face, because.
Did it show you that, like, I guess in a way they knew you a lot better than maybe you thought that they did? Because I feel like in order for her to know that you just needed a small chance and that you would make the most out of that small opportunity, I feel like, I mean, I don't know. She just really knew who kind of person you were.
That's what I thought too. I thought, what drove them to say that? And then my daughter was like, I just love Dad, And so I was like, man, that was tough to hear all that out. Not tough in a bad way, but tough in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
My heart. And so, but yeah, and sure enough, they went in, opened me up, and they went in, and the doctor was moving some stuff, and he found where the bleed was. And so, so he was able to stop the bleed, and at that point, he it was kind of like a Band-Aid situation. It's like, let's stop the bleeding and let's create, he don't have this artery anymore. It's toast, it's done. The artery completely burst.
Oh,
and then
crap.
damaging part of the small intestine and then where the pancreas was at. And there was basically what they said that behind the wall of that artery, there was some necrotic tissue. In other words, that's like just dead tissue, just infected tissue.
Oh, wow.
The previous transplant from many years ago, or maybe
It just built up, or?
Yeah, and it was the point where, because I had been going in for procedures to get not procedures, testing to see where some of this, because they were indicating an infection, but they couldn't find anything. That's what it was. It created what they call a pseudoaneurysm, so where it's almost like a giant clot that just burst.
Okay.
Because it attached itself to the small intestine, pancreas that was transplanted, and the iliac artery. Unfortunately, when you lose an artery, that's blood flow from your heart to your feet.
Yeah.
You know, so they had to create what they did. They put a bypass graft, and that created a source of blood flow from the heart. It's like an artificial artery.
Okay.
And it runs along the side here, and then down to my waist, groin area, and but it saved my life, right?
Yeah.
So, and they said I was stable, but that I was in a coma. So they were glad that I was stable, but that they didn't know how long I was going to be in the coma. So when so it was when I woke up from the coma, I thought to me, I was very groggy and drowsy and just kind of like trying to figure out. But what was amazing to me was I felt like it was just the next day. I felt like that.
Oh, snap. From that moment you
Yeah,
fell asleep in the ambulance?
To the paramedics in the ambulance.
Holy crap,
I thought it was the next day, right? And I was like, and so when I woke up, it was like 3 a.m, and the nurse comes in there and she's like, oh, you're awake. Well, I'm going to call your family. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, I wasn't like all perky like that.
Yeah.
But I was like,
you were just kind of like,
I was like,
all right.
Yeah, just real groggy. And I looked around, and just being in and out of the hospital most of my life, I saw all the, the IVs, the catheters, the different, heart monitors, all the stuff they had attached to me. Mm-hmm. And even not just up top, but down low. And I was like, oh, this got bad. Whatever it was, it got bad.
Damn.
And I thought, okay. And then I noticed I was swollen. So that told me the kidney wasn't working.
Okay.
So I lost the kidney probably. Or it's damaged or something.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the situation. I was just trying to figure it out just from what I knew, right?
Trying to rationalize everything, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And then when the nurse came back, and they because they had I started breathing on my own like the week before I woke up. So they were able to take the tubes and stuff out, right?
Okay.
All the, everything. And I still had the brain monitors on where it had all the leads and stuff they put in your hair and stuff in your head. And so but my throat was very dry, and so I really couldn't speak. I tried to talk, and it was like, it felt all, I don't know, it was
very
just raw.
painful. Painful?
Raw, yeah, very painful. So she said, oh no, don't try to talk. So she said, just if you can whisper, try to whisper. And I was like, okay. And I said, and she said, can I know I can't have water, because they don't let you have water when you're in a situation like that, like ice chips or a swab or something, I said, I'm just very dry. She goes, oh, well, I'm sorry, I can't give you ice chips or a swab because we're on a water watch. I was like, water watch? And she goes, yeah, we had a winter storm. So, okay, in my head,
holy
I was
snap,
thinking,
dude.
so that was when we had the winter storm, the freeze. And
yeah.
everybody was like, oh, the pipes busted and all that
Holy
stuff.
crap.
So that's when all this had happened during that time. And so in my mind, when I went in, there was no freeze. It was like fixing to be the Super Bowl and all that.
Yeah.
And it was warm weather. I was like, when she told me that, I was like, winter weather?
Did you think it was the next year?
I was like, wait a minute, I'm still in Texas, right? And she said, oh yes. And I said, what year is it? I was like, because I don't, this 2021, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, yes. And I said, well, is it Sunday? And she says, no, she goes, sweetheart, she says, you've been out for almost a month. It was like 3.5 weeks. So I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks, and I didn't know. I thought it was just the next day. Like
Yeah.
I said. So that kind of blew me away. And
Dude,
stuff.
that is insane.
So
insane stuff right there.
But what I realized after she left, after she contacted, and my family couldn't come visit, they had to talk to me via FaceTime.
Because the COVID situation,
Right,
and stuff, right?
all that.
Yeah.
So, but then afterwards, I realized I couldn't move. All I could move was this hand. I didn't have movement anywhere in my
Just
neck.
that one hand.
So, and I said, so why am I having trouble moving? And she says, well, you have severe muscle atrophy, partial paralysis.
TV, FaceTime video.
The world is yours. And they said when your body shuts down like that, you have, your muscles, they become weak, and you're going to have to see if we can help you regain all that. She said, but we're not going to get into all that. I'm just glad that we're just so glad that you're awake and that you're attentive and you're alert. And they started asking me questions. What do you remember? And blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay. So that was good coming out. So my mental capacities and memory and all that was intact. So I was like, okay, that's a good sign, but just couldn't move,
Yeah.
So as time went on, doctors came in. I was back on dialysis from the kidney. They had to remove the pancreas, so didn't have that anymore. But slowly, the kidney started working again.
Wow.
And so they were, just after a couple of days of dialysis, got the kidney back. And so it was getting better and better and better. And I was like, all right, so I didn't lose the kidney. It just I did take a hit though with damage, So of course, it's not 100%,
Yeah.
but it's good enough to be working and doing what it needs to do. So thankful for that,
Yeah.
of course.
And in that moment, man, where you, I guess, where you were in the coma, it literally felt like the next day. There was no some kind of like divine maybe experience that you.
A lot of people ask me that. It's okay. Yes, it's not like, it wasn't like anything I've ever heard before. To me, it felt like a dream, right? It felt like a little dream maybe that was but it's, man, it's a bit of a story. But I will tell you that I saw people so it was like almost like I had people that were living, right? People that were here, and then people that had passed on in my life. We're all in this scenario.
Both of them.
Yeah. And so it started out with hearing my dad's voice. And my dad was like, hey, come here. And so he got in this boat, and we and him both loved to fish. And so I thought, oh, okay, cool. So we're in this boat. He says, hey, I can't go any further with you. I said, but you're going to see some people that and they just want to see you. They want to see you and talk to you. And I was like, okay, and in my mind, I was okay, this has got to be a dream or something, right? So anyway, keep going through it. And I love Christmas, right? Christmas is a great time of the year.
I love it too.
Love Santa Claus and all that. So anyway, I get there, and all of a sudden it's Christmas time, and it's snowing, and I see this house, and all these people are going in. It's like a big party, right? All these people are going to the house, and I'm like, okay. And I see this man. He looks familiar, but I wasn't sure who he was. Kind of telling me, hey, come here, And I was like, okay. And so I go over there, and it's family, right? But then there was people in there I didn't know, which I thought was interesting. And so when I went in, I had people coming up to me, hey, oh man, good to see you, and oh, we love you, and hey, don't worry. And I had aunts and uncles and cousins that have recently passed, and they were there, and they were coming up to me, and they were like, just giving me a big hug. And my aunt, she would always call me, mi corazón, like my heart, my sweetheart. And she came up to me and she called me that. But she had like a full head of gray hair. And she looked a little, some of the people looked a little older or different, but like in a beautiful kind of sense, like in a very just
like peaceful.
Yeah, just like there was that
just that kind of vibe.
That vibe, right? And I was just kind of like, wow, what is going on here, you know? And I don't know, it was like people were just trying to comfort me, right? Tell me it's going to be okay. And then this kid, I didn't recognize this kid, right? But she comes running up to me and she brings this poster board. And on the poster board, so I'm real big, so I don't know if you know this or not, but at the high school, and even when y'all were younger, at the junior high, I used to put signs, right? Like little signs and stuff of encouragement, you know, smiley faces, stuff like that. At the high school, I started putting positive messages on the big walls, right? Like never give up, you know, don't stop believing, you know, just kind of like together, forgiveness, all kinds of stuff like that. You know, you're gonna make it. Anything encouraging, I would just put it on the wall in huge poster board letters, right? So if you walk through the high school, you know, they're all over the place. And I do them for the kids and the staff.
Yeah.
Just to uplift a little bit.
Absolutely,
know?
dude, yeah.
And, so, you know. So this kid comes up to me, never seen her before, little kid. And she gives me this poster board here, like that. Here's the poster board. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I look at it, and it says, never give up, don't stop believing. I was like, or believe. And I was like, oh, wow. I said, yeah, I know that, you know. And then she leaves, okay, you're welcome. And she leaves. I'm like, okay. And then my uncle whispers to my aunt, hey, you're not done yet. You need to go down the street. So I go down the street, and then there's my mom and my sisters and my ex-wife and her husband, and then my daughter and her friends, and my daughter's building a snowman and stuff, and she comes running up to me and, hey, Dad, it's good to see you, and oh, man, you know, I love you so much. And then she runs back, and my parents and my ex-wife and everybody's telling me, hey, no matter what, you know, something happens, you know, we got her. Don't worry. We got her. I was like, okay. You know, and so I'm still trying to figure out what the heck's going on. What's going on here, you know? And I knew, but while going through this, I also knew that I had gotten very sick and was in the hospital, you know? And so...
Did you know, like, when that was happening, were you, like, thinking, like, am I still in the ambulance right now?
Right, yeah, I didn't even know. It was like I was so...
Caught up in that dream?
In the dream, which I thought was a dream, right?
Yeah.
So
immersed is, you're so immersed in the dream.
I really did. And then at that point, I hear my dad calling me, hey, come on, Mule, you know, we got to go. Come on, son. You know, I'm like, okay. And I was trying to go back, and there was all these, like, it got real dark. And then I just felt this overwhelming sense of urgency, right? And as for whatever reason, I was having trouble running, and I was having trouble. There was like all this stuff in the way that I had to like brush through and try to get through and to get to where I was hearing my dad, right?
Holy crap, dude.
And I was like, okay. And then that's the last thing I remember. And then I remember this voice or this piece kind of telling me, it's going to be okay, you know. You still have time, like that. And not that I heard it out loud, but it was like I just felt it. I heard that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, where was that from, you know? And then and that's all I remembered, right? The crazy thing about that, okay, I said, okay, it could have been a dream, but here's the thing that blows me away a little bit. The parallel to that on the other side of that was that my sister told me, you know, was that at one point they had to put restraints while I was in the hospital because they said one evening when I was, you know, in the coma, that the nurse was in there checking my vitals and stuff, and I started flailing with my arms, like I was trying to get to something.
Yeah.
And she said she heard me mumble, you know, gotta get back, not done yet.
Holy crap.
And said, oh man, I love you guys. But it was like more mumbled. Is what she was saying.
I mean, you're on the life support at that time too, right? So you had like a tube down your throat?
Yeah, so I was like, what the heck?
So even the fact that
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but
this is what they told me I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. And when my sister was telling me that, it wasn't until later that I thought about maybe that's the point of the dream or the vision or whatever you want to call it that I had while I was under. Maybe that was that point.
Yeah.
You know, when I was trying to
maybe
get
it
back.
was, maybe it was you kind of like trying to come back in a way.
Right. And to the point where my body just physically started.
Yeah, like you start.
Like,
it's
moving.
crazy. It's crazy, man. So I've been. Have you ever read The Four Agreements or no?
And so which one?
The movie, the book, The Four Agreements.
Okay, I've heard of it. I haven't read it. I've just heard stories from it.
Man, so like I've read like 2 chapters in it so far. I haven't got as far as I'd like to in it, but the 2 chapters I've read, there's a lot of things that I've heard, I guess, in life lately that have made me reference back to that book. And it talks about how in the book that we're always dreaming in a way. Like everyone's dreaming, even when the brain is awake. And then when you go to sleep, you dream, and then when you wake up, you're still dreaming, but you're dreaming in like it says like a linear way. You know what I mean? But whenever you go to sleep, your dreams don't have that like linear like frame on it. So that's why your dream could switch constantly from one scenario to another.
Yeah.
But when you're up, it's crazy just the way it put it. So like just how you said that, it just kind of made me think like, while you were dreaming and the nurse said you were swinging your arms and stuff like that, and you were trying to like kind of come back to earth in a way. That's what it seems like to me.
Right. Well, that's what, when they told me that, and the nurse came back and told me, yeah, I remember that. And it's like we didn't want you to pull out all your leads and your IVs and stuff, so we had to restrain your arms, you know. And I was like, at that point, we knew, okay, there's some brain activity, so he's something's going on. And I was like, okay, you know. So, but yeah, they told me that, and then it was funny because when I finally, you know, it was crazy because when I woke up and I kind of got my cognition back and everything, you know, I was like able to really think clearly, you know, the next few days. About 2 or 3 times a day, that same experience would replay in my head, like, and not like I'm purposely thinking about it, but it would just, that scenario would just pop back in my head.
Where
like,
you were trying to,
and it did that. I'd be just sitting there watching TV, and it's like it replays all over again in my mind, that experience. It did that for almost a year. I would get that on a daily, at least once, like just remembering that. And I'm like, okay, dreams, you don't usually remember them like that.
No, not at all.
And then they keep coming back to you, like you're thinking, you know, like where you're just thinking about or just driving.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden,
you'll have
it
some.
just kind of replays, and I'm just reflecting on that again. And it was like, man, I could be eating or watching TV, and it would just kind of pop up. I was like, wow, what is the purpose there?
Yeah.
You know. But here's what's crazy too, talking about the whole, you know, trying to, you know,
fight your way back in a way.
Fight your way back, right? So when I had my cousins FaceTime me like about a week later, and they said, hey, cuz, we made some shirts for you. And I said, oh yeah? And she said, yeah, we made some to do a fundraiser, you know, for you to help with your. I said, oh man, you guys are awesome. That's so sweet, you know, and thank you for that. And the shirts were a big old smiley face, okay? And on the smiley above the smiley face, it says, never give up. And on the bottom, it said, don't stop believing. On the shirt.
Holy crap, dude! That's
so
what.
Remember the little girl with the sign, right?
The kid showed you.
And that's something I've always said, though. You know, I've always told people that's like one of my little mantras. You know.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man. You know, the signs that I was telling you about on the wall that I make at the school. So some of the kids in the program and some other staff and random people at the school that were like, hey, you know, they were sending me well wishes when I was able to use my fingers again. I got online, and they had sent me all these pictures of these kids standing in front of the signs that I make, wearing the T-shirts that my cousins make. You know, all those motivational signs, and then with the shirts that, you know, there was a lot of that crossover,
that correlation.
But I was just like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah, no, that is
very
interesting.
Yeah, and so I don't know.
Wild.
So I don't, you know, divine or not, I don't know. But whatever that was, I don't think. I don't know what it was.
You don't.
I can't say it was heaven. I can't say it was another place or anything like that. All I can say was that it was an experience that I felt like that was like a message more than anything.
Yeah.
Like saying, hey man, you have an opportunity here, or a choice here, or fight your way back, get better, do what you got to do, and then all the other stuff was like, you've said all along, or I've tried to share with folks all along, it's like, and don't give up, and don't lose hope, and don't let the bad stuff just take away from your life. The gift that you have is life.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful gift. And I know it doesn't seem like that sometimes, but man, if I could tell people stuff, it's like, just, man, find the beauty in it, man. Take the moments. And no matter how bad or how hard it is, you got the strength to overcome that. You got the strength and the ability to do anything and make it better for yourself. And I think that's the thing. It's kind of like I said earlier, God gives us the tools to overcome anything or to handle anything. But you got to believe in that, and you got to claim that, you got to claim that and just live it, and I think that's what's always kind of been
your life, you feel like it's been about in a way.
Yeah,
because I agree with everything you're saying, man. Absolutely. And I feel like that's something that I've realized just in the last 2 years of my life. I feel like just indulging in those moments, like you said, I think people are a lot stronger than they think they are.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And it's because you just get caught up in just, I guess, life, and how a lot of people want life to always be I guess what they want it to be, and perfect and sunshine and rainbows like we talked about. But I believe that the entire experience of life is you always know it's not pretty, and you have to take those things for what they are as well. And I think you just got to be able to all that is experience, all that is stuff that you are able to just learn from in the future. And you're going to have a similar moment like that in your life. And you're going to be you could just reference back to man, I thought I was never going to get out of something like this, but 6 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever you were in that situation, it's look what I've overcome. And I think it's also really good to hear you say that you still have that same that same belief, or you live by the same things that you once lived by before you had gone through those surgeries and just those unfortunate experiences, man. And it's just really good, honestly, to hear how you've overcome that, and to be able to just apply it even more to your life. How do you feel that you live your life now after all that experience?
It's funny because every time, I've been in and out of the hospital for a lot, more than anybody should, and so it's always been my mindset, to just battle forward, move on, just trust and say, okay, whatever limitations I have, okay, accept that. Do what the doctors, tell me to do, advise me to do. And then from there, it's okay, what more can I do to enhance that or better that or improve that, And at that point, it's like I said, when the doctors told me, because here was the thing, I was telling you earlier, after I had the aneurysm, walking was very difficult because I had no blood flow to the right leg. And so unfortunately, that artificial graft they made the following year, it became blocked. And so it was no longer working. So now blood flow stopped. I was at work, and all of a sudden my leg was on fire, right? It was burning, and it was pain. And I had to stop, and then I'll take a break, and then it'd go away. Then I keep walking. And I had to go back to the ER, and they said, hey, look, they said, that thing is occluded. And they were puzzled. They were like, we can't go back in you and do surgery. You're not even completely healed yet. They said, that's high risk. They said, we can't replace it. If you had nothing else going on, no transplant or anything else, we could probably do that. They said, but with you can, nobody wants to touch that surgery.
Taking a big risk, yeah.
It's the survival of that, because, you're you don't have that artery to begin with. We'd have to take that one out, reattach, put another one, and you're on blood thinners already. It's like, you bleed out like
just like
water,
a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And so it's what they told me. And they said, you can take this, there's this medication you can take, and then you can exercise that leg and whatever, and see if it'll, come back, and so by the grace of God and everything and hard work, they said you don't have that oxygen, that blood flow in that leg. So it was like almost white, right? So I had like 2 different color legs.
Holy crap.
And it was cold, right? That tells you you're not getting blood flow.
Yeah.
They said the alternative is you lose the leg. So we take it all, at that point. I said, okay. And so I still have it.
Yeah.
Color has improved. In the morning, I get a little numbness. Balance and coordination is not great, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
On long days, I'll wear my leg braces still just to help me. Because when I walk, sometimes my foot will go out like that.
Okay.
Right? But since I've been working on that, now I got a strong pulse without the graft or the artery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The color's good. I'm getting stronger. So right now that it's the summer, I'm doing a lot of physical therapy and trying to work, because I'm determined to jump rope and run without falling.
Okay.
And to
Nice.
go back out to the clubs and dance salsa merengue.
Yeah,
you gotta
right.
have your feet, man. You gotta have your feet. So I'm determined to get there. It's funny too, because to go back when I was in the hospital, I think it was one of the things they told me. Some of the therapists there said, hey, look, with your situation, we rarely see anybody be able to walk on their own without some kind of support.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, so be prepared to be in the hospital in physical therapy for at least almost a year, 9 months to a year. And so after all that, I was there 4 months. In 4 months, I was able to go home, but I was working hard in that.
Like every single day?
Every single day, like 3-4 times a day in the hospital. And then they would say, we're going to walk from here with a walker, right? So in leg braces. And before, when they asked me to, like, let's say this is my foot, and they would say, all right, press your foot and see if you can push it down. Up here, I was moving that foot, right?
Yeah.
And it was just going like this. There was like nothing going on. It was just like that. Nothing.
Oh,
and
crap.
So, but now I'm like,
Man, that's crazy. So you were trying to move your foot and you're looking at it and you couldn't move it?
No, I couldn't even feel it. Yeah. And I was very...
that must be a very weird, feeling.
Yeah, I was not... I was a little... I have to admit, I was a little concerned, I was like, am I really going to get this back? And how long? But I had that day of, after hearing all that and just kind of frustrated in the beginning because there wasn't a lot I could do. And so when I started going into therapy and I was able to walk, they would say, okay, when I finally got through the pain of it all, and they said, the pain was kind of subsiding a little, they said, okay, we're going to let you walk from here to the door, right? Like, okay, I'd get to the door. I say, I want to go a little further. It's okay, well, you don't have to. And I was all out of breath and, struggling. And I said, no, I want to see if I can go a little further. So every time they
pushing yourself.
Yeah. So every time they set me up with something, I'd say, I'm going to do 2 more. Or I'm going to do, And then when it started progressing and things started looking better, a few months later, while I was in there, every time I would do a repetition of something, I would think of every single person I've known in my life. So every rep was for somebody.
Oh, wow.
So that was like my personal motivation.
Yeah,
right?
that's awesome.
I couldn't have music or anything
there
because they had other patients and stuff. So I was like, okay. So I would say the first, let's say I was doing leg reps or something, right? So I would say, like my daughter, I'd say Serena, Mom, Dad, Colonel Sanders, just, whatever came to my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
man, I've never really thought about, I guess, doing it like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it probably means, I guess, a lot. I feel like it's a lot different feeling whenever you're doing something, when you're working your body physically from trying to go from, I guess, where you're at currently and then trying to build your body back up. I think I don't know, because I guess like when I work out, I don't think about it like, oh, this one's for my mom, this one's, you know what I mean? So I think it's just a different like mentality that you applied towards that rehab that I think
because
is great.
I was at a point where things were not progressing. They were progressing, but not like I wasn't. And personally, I wanted more results.
Yeah,
right?
I believe.
And so I was like, man, I'm not seeing, And they were like, it's gonna take time. It's gonna say, I know, And I said, okay, I got it. And I was like, all right, man, let me, you know what? I love everybody. Okay. Everybody has meant so much to me in my life. Even if I had just 1 5-minute conversation with you or a simple hello, I'm going to think about you still. Like, you all right? Or how's it going? And, just whatever. I got care for people, right? So, of course, that's one of the things I love about life is the people in it. That, to me, that's amazing because everybody possesses gifts and talents and love and all kinds of great things. And I don't think people realize sometimes how amazing everybody is in their own way, And so what better motivation than all the people in my life or all the people that I've encountered? Like, okay. And it would make me smile and continue because I'm like, oh yeah, I want to get back. And you know what? Hell, I want to go back to work. I want to be able to drive. I want to be able to go dancing. I want to be able to, I want to be able to run.
You want to be able to do things independently again.
Right. So I wanted to make the most of that because I didn't want this to be it.
Yeah.
And so 4.5 months later, got through it. They sent me home. I was still doing physical therapy. I still had leg braces, would use my walker the first 2 months. And then 9 months later, I was able to return to work. And so I was like...
So in less than a year, you were able to go back to work.
Yeah.
So you were supposed to be there in rehab for a year.
Yeah.
And you finished that in 4 months. And then as far as work goes...
It was like 9 months in.
Okay. See, that's amazing, dude.
So but it was like, you can't, when they told me they said, we don't know, it's normally going to take about a year. They said, but it just depends on how hard you're willing to work. When the doctor told me that phrase right there, how hard are you willing to work? How important is something to you? How much meaning does your life have to you? When you have it put to you like that, and it was just very, very casual. But in my mind, I took it like that.
Yeah,
like,
because of the situation you're in too.
It's like, hey, it's Eye of the Tiger, man, Rocky Balboa. Let's go. Coming back from being the underdog, man. I love a good underdog. So it's like you come back from that, and you just keep going and pushing and going and pushing, and you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. And I don't know what condition I was gonna be in, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still working at it.
Yeah. You did mention when you came in here that you felt the best you felt in a while.
Yeah.
This is the best you felt, you said.
After everything that's happened up to this point, and it's been a lot. I mean, I didn't share everything, but there's been a lot. And it's been setback after setback, and still keep moving forward, and still keep believing that, man, I can do this, And that's what I kind of, sharing this is not so much about me, but it's more, what can folks take from that?
Exactly.
To say, okay, this guy here, man, and I'm not young either, y'all. So I'm below, but I feel young. My heart and my spirit is always young, and I think that helps too. You gotta, you just gotta have fun.
It does, man.
You gotta believe. I'm gonna share this with you.
Okay.
So. Every now and then when I do go out, I'm driving again and I'm, like I said, working and everything's going really well. Very, able to go for my walks and workouts and stuff. So sometimes, on the weekends I'll go out and I'll get social and everything. And there's this coffee shop and they have all these like baked goods and all kinds of coffees and teas and drinks and everything. And so on my way home, if I'm cutting through Lower Westheimer, downtown area, Midtown.
Okay.
If I'm cutting through there's a coffee shop, and they're open till 2. And so I love it because I went there about 6 years ago, and I was there with a friend, and I was so amazed that they had gingerbread cookies. Like all year round, not just at Christmas time.
Oh wow!
They have these little guys in the case with all the cookies and the pastries and stuff.
Yeah,
but little gingerbread man, and they have them all decorated with a smile and everything. And that just stood out. And it was, I was like, oh, I gotta have one of those. And so I would like sit in my coffee. He looked like he was in a hot tub.
Yeah, right.
And so, but he's kind of big, about that big, and so I would always get those. Right. Well, a couple of months ago. I grabbed two, and one was for me, and then the other was for my niece. And I felt bad because the one that was the one was intact, but the other one that I got had broken apart. You know, it was all broken. And I actually took a picture. I'll have to show you after all this. But,
Okay. You can send it to me too. I'll put it up in the video.
Nice. So what's crazy about this gingerbread man? There's a little story here.
Okay.
So you got the one gingerbread man who's like perfect and intact. Everything's good, smiling and everything. But the one that broke, it's got the pieces of the arm, crumbs falling off. It's got the legs are detached. You know, the abdominal area is all detached. The head is detached. You know? So he's broken. He's still intact. It's like a puzzle, right?
Okay.
So he looks like a little puzzle, and it's kind of all broken. He just looks like he's, you know, like, oh snap, you know, I fell apart. And so, you know, so he's all broken in the wrapper still, but you can tell he's still the gingerbread man, right? But he's still smiling. See what I'm saying? It's like he's broken, although he's broken, although he's, you know, he's still put together, you know, and although he's been broken, although he's been hurt, although he's been through some stuff, he's still smiling. That gingerbread man. That's what came to me when I saw it.
Man, that's
I thought, oh, he's still broken. I can relate to that.
Yeah, right?
Like, hey, I got you, gingerbread
it's
man.
like, dude, I know how you feel.
I feel you.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I can empathize with you more than anyone else could right now.
Dude, I said, you keep smiling.
Yeah, right.
Man. Keep smiling.
You're going to be all right, dude.
You know, exactly. But that's what I thought about. I thought that was kind of cute. I thought, there you go, gingerbread man.
Yeah.
Right? But that's what you got to do, though. That's what you got to do in your life, man. Even when you feel down and broken and there's no hope or whatever, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
That's awesome, man, that you were able to get that like perspective from just seeing that right there. And like you said, it's the little things in life, dude, that I think a lot of people just take for granted. Like how you said, like you're a teenager or a kid at heart. I feel that, and I don't know if I said this on here already or not, but we talked about it, I think, before we went on air. And like, I feel that a lot of people lose that kid in them, you know? And I feel that in a way, I feel like to truly enjoy life, like you have to, I guess, be in touch with that kid in you and your passions and stuff and all the beliefs. And I think just people get older, and as they get older, they tend to forget those things because life happens to them. And just one of these, man, and you spoke about it already, but one of the main reasons why I wanted you on here today was to be able to give that perspective to people, and even myself, man, because like I haven't had a lot of those. I haven't had like personal health experiences happen to me like that to where I feel like, because right now I can't see myself like dying. I don't think much people could, but like I don't think I could see that for myself. I can't even see myself being like 40 years old for whatever reason. I just that's so far in the future for me right now.
Right, of course.
So it's
and no, I don't think anybody really does.
Yeah,
know? I think it's just kind of when you go through things, you know, that's what
gives you that perspective.
Yeah, sure. But you know, man, I was going to tell you that I think that gosh, I kind of lost track. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It happens to me all the time.
I think that, you know, the thing about it is that people go through life. We all go through life, and we all have experiences. We lose people. We have trauma, you know, whether it's job, finances, material things, you know, you lost your home or your car or somebody very close to you, you know, a pet, you know, it doesn't matter what the situation is, you know, there's going to be heartbreak and trauma throughout. Okay. It's never easy for anybody. I can't, you know, I don't know your life or somebody else's life because only the person walks in their own shoes, right? So they know what they've been through and what they've had to deal with and what their normal is. And you know, and so when you have something that's totally unexpected and alien from everything you've ever known, it's very difficult and challenging to try to figure out how to fix that, you know, or how you're going to do better with that. You know? I mean, and heartbreak is tough, man. That's, you know, that can really hurt a person, and you know, especially when you lose someone. You know, it's just tough,
dude. I don't think that I don't think that you're ever the same when you lose certain people in your life, and I just feel like being able to relate to people, like especially as yourself, man, like how strong you are, man, to be able to overcome everything that you've overcome, and to hear that you have moments where you break down and life kind of happens to you and stuff like that, man. To me, I don't like people feeling sad, but when I see someone as strong as yourself or as strong as like a family member of mine, and I see them kind of break down because there's just a lot of things going on in their life that they don't know how to handle, it's like, it makes me feel good because it's not like I'm alone in these thoughts that I have, you know?
Right.
And it's like someone else that is like strong, like they feel the same way, man. It's like, sometimes it's hard to get up and continue to be consistent and go through just every day, especially being at a job that you're not necessarily happy with, or that where the environment's not good. Like, it's a lot to handle, man. But like I said, I think God puts people in certain situations to be able to give back to others, man, and be able to show them. Like, one thing I want to say, dude, before we close this out, but thank you for always being so kind and so caring, because I think that has allowed me to refer back to you on a couple of situations in my life where, like, I don't think a lot of people understand how important that is, to just be kind and care for one another, even people that aren't your blood. Like, just, I think it's important to have that camaraderie and just that, I guess, deeper level of understanding with just human beings in general. Like, everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect, but
of course,
there's a lot of people out there, dude, who aren't like you and I, you know? And I feel like I don't run into a lot of people like you and I sometimes. So that's why, like, anytime I meet someone that's like you or that I'm able to relate to on a personal level and just not judgmental and understand and just can really empathize with what it's like to be a younger person growing up and trying to figure out the world, like, thank you for not judging me. Thank you for not making me feel like I'm just less than you because you're older and experienced. You know what I mean?
Hey, hey, thank you. Because, I mean, you're welcome, but thank you, because it's like, to me, that's the beauty of getting to know people. And like I said before, man, you know, everybody has gifts, everybody has potential, everybody has, you know, love to give and things to share. And I got to tell you that I think what happens a lot of times is you go through such hard times in life, I think people do, and that they get accustomed to that being, well, you know, I know something bad's about to happen, or their outlook becomes bitter or negative, and you have to kind of catch yourself. And I tell people, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Let that go. Let that shit go, man, because you got to live right now. You got to, and what you choose to be happy or not, you choose to get over this or not, you choose, you know, to, like I said before, claim the tools that God gave you. Yeah. Because God gave each one of us a tool to overcome anything and everything. He gave us faith. He gave us courage. He gave us strength. He gave us love. He gave us kindness. You know, all of that. And if you believe in that, and if you claim that, claim that shit, you know, man, use it, you know, and go forward to make your life as beautiful as you can possibly make it, man. That's the thing.
I feel like you said a lot, man, but I did want to close it out with, and all that, man, all that is beautiful, dude. All that is stuff that I want the people to hear, you know what I mean? Because it's like, dude, that shit is important. That shit isn't so important to me, because I feel like everything that you're saying has helped me get through the last year of my life with a different perspective, and just has caused me to be better. I feel like I told you, I feel that God put me in the situation that I'm in right now to just, pretty much what I'm getting at is, when I feel that there is pain in your life, there is going to be progress made. You know what I mean? Sure. And you need those tough times to be able to just find out who you are and just really move forward with everything. Like, once you come out of the other side of that, man, you are much stronger and than you even believed.
Absolutely.
And I guess one thing I want to end it with you, man, is what would you give what kind of advice do you give to younger people, man, in life that you feel that might help them?
Oh man, just like I said a while ago, you know, it's just realizing that there's always, in whatever moment that you're dealing with, that you're having a hard time with, good or bad, always remember there's a next moment. There's another opportunity. There's a new day.
Mm.
Choose, okay? Choose for yourself. Choose to be happy. Choose to love. Choose to be kind. Choose to have strength. Choose to all the things I told you about. You know, it is up to you to determine what your day is going to look like. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't determine a car wreck, or you can't determine, bad weather or anything like that.
Yeah.
Obviously. But even with that, take something good from that. Take something good from what you got, because life is a gift.
Yeah.
And man, and just imagine, I mean, if you just lived your life just taking in everything that's good, and whatever trash comes in, man, just get rid of it.
Filter it out. Yeah.
Dump it out.
Like you said, look at the brighter side of things.
And listen to people. Listen to people and talk to people. Don't be afraid to express yourself. And a lot of people hold back. I'm a Turkman. I love all of y'all.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel that a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people hold back, man, because they're afraid of being judged and ridiculed. And I think a lot of that I think started like when I started the podcast and stuff like that. Man, a lot of me was. I was afraid, man, because of how I'd be like perceived on the internet and how like I didn't want to look like this or look like that. But at the end of the day, man, what I think about is like the internet is going to judge you whether you want them to or not. So at the end of the day, why don't you just at least try to do something that you want to do and that you love? And honestly, like I'm human, just like the person who may be judging me.
Absolutely, yes.
So at the end of the day, it's like you have the same flaws that I do, you know what I mean? So I don't get that mentality of judging other people and making people feel less than because of something that they did or may act like or whatever the case may be, man. I don't like any of that, dude.
I don't either, because I feel like, man, you can't judge people, man.
You can't, dude.
I mean, who are we to judge anybody?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I'm not even about that. And, and like I said earlier, it's when we were talking off here, a lot of people get caught up in arguing and fighting and disagreeing.
Oh, that's right.
And it's like, hey, man, you know what? It's okay to have a conversation and not agree.
And have different opinions.
Because guess what? People get so caught up and so fixated on the fight that they forget, hey, they're together, they're friends, or they're in a relationship, or they're family. And it's okay to agree to disagree, because that has nothing to do with how much you love that person.
Exactly.
And the love that you got between somebody or for other people, your friends, family, man, that's golden right there, man. That's forever. That's eternal.
Yeah.
Cherish that, man. Embrace that, and give it out. Put it back out in the world.
Yeah.
Put it back out in the world. We were knocking all over. But like as we start breakdancing.
Yeah, right.
But no. I mean, really, you got to. You have to.
It feels good too, man.
It does.
It feels good because I feel that
release, let it go.
Whenever you put that out into the world, man, they always say like it comes back to you.
It does.
You know what I mean? And I
does.
truly believe that, man, in the way just the universe works, dude. And
yeah,
like you said, dude, life is honestly a beautiful thing, man. And I feel like I realize that more and more every single day. And I mean, this is just going for anyone out there, man, who may be struggling with something. But at the end of the day, just know it's not going to be forever. These moments, I believe, are very like fleeting. And at the end of the day, man, once you come out on the other side, you're a much stronger person than you ever believed you were, man. And it shows you a lot about yourself. It shows you more about yourself than what you realize. And I mean, if you just take that advice, like Mr. Castillo has, and try to give it to the world and just make it a better place, man. I've always wanted to help people and like help change their lives in any way that I could, man, whether it be like me having an impact on them or whatever the case may be, man. I think like people helping other people, I think that's what life is all about.
Yes, making it, everybody can make a difference.
Yeah.
I know we probably cut close on time.
No, yeah, it's hilarious, dude, but honestly, I love it, dude. That just shows how much I can talk with you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because there's this great story, and it's very short. I don't know if we have time or not, but...
Nah, man.
But I tell you what, let me know. I'll send it to you or whatever.
Okay.
Or I'll record it for you if you want me to. It's very, but it's about making a difference.
Okay. Yeah, please, dude. Yeah, please.
So I'll do that. Yeah, you guys got to check this out. It's super easy. You may have even heard it before.
Okay.
But it's called the Starfish Story. So I'm gonna send it to you though.
Oh, please, man, and also send me that picture as well.
Oh, the gingerbread.
The gingerbread, yes,
for sure, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, man, this is another episode of The Conference, man. This is Mr. Castillo. I'm Johnny G. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And we will see you on the next episode. We should do this again sometime, dude.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah, I love it, man. Thank you.
I love you guys.
Y'all have a good one, man. Take care.
All right, God bless y'all.